Hi everyone, this is KYN Studio. Thank you so much for tuning into my first video. You might have already seen some of my dolls on Instagram, but I thought it'd be nice to get on YouTube and share a more in-depth look into the making of them. In particular, these Winx Club Balljointed dolls I've been making. Thus far I've made Bloom, Stella, Flora, Musa, Aisha, and Dark Bloom. So obviously there's someone missing from the equation. To be honest, I've been sort of procrastinating on making this one. Not because I don't like Tecna, but because I knew she was going to be the most difficult one to make. And also I wanted to wait to get a bigger printer so that I could make a specific piece of her that I knew just wouldn't be feasible with the tiny printer I have been using. But yeah, at last, it is her time. I tried something a bit different and sculpted her with a more serious or neutral expression since I thought that would be fitting. And yeah, we've got a lot of printing to do on this one, so let's just get started by printing the base doll. Once all the pieces are washed and cured, I get to sand the whole thing. Once that is done, I string her together. And here she is after that's done. While making the other dolls, I've really edited and changed the sculpt 100 times, but at this point I'm quite happy with it. But we are not done printing. These are her gems and wings, and this glider is actually the big piece I mentioned earlier. Even with my huge printer now, I had to split it in 3 parts to make it work. So I mixed this glittery green goop and got the print started. Once all the prints are done, I get to sand again. And then I just glossed the parts with some of the resin that I printed them with and cured all that under a UV lamp. I also used that resin to connect the glider pieces. Then I just put the magnets in and they're done. The last thing we need to print are the boot covers as well as the helmet, which I knew needed to be somewhat flexible to work. Thankfully, Resin was so kind to send me their F39 white flexible resin to try out. I will also be trying their BJD resin soon, so look out for that. I was a bit scared of how this was going to print since I've never dealt with flexible resin. But I just used the settings that Resin had on their website and it printed out most parts perfectly fine. Only issue being that it ended up doing its job a little too well and the parts were too flexible for what I needed. And they just didn't hold their shape the way that I needed for these specific parts. So I ended up experimenting a bit and mixed the flexible resin with just a normal ABS-like resin that I had at home. That worked really well and the parts ended up having the amount of flexibility that I needed. So after I also sanded those, I just airbrushed them. At first I just laid down the basic colors. Then I also got this metallic type of paint and gave everything 2 coats of that. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think the metallic sheen gives everything is just really cool. Then I just put the shoe pieces together and that part is done as well. Now on to making the bodysuit. The way I pattern stuff is just by using the saran wrap technique and drawing the seams directly on her body. Once I've got the patterns, we can start the actual sewing. I'll just start with the sleeves by hemming them with glue and stitching on top of that for a more finished look. Then I sew these shoulder darts. Afterwards, I just put the front pieces of the suit together and then the small part on the back, which I actually should have done later, but whatever. Then I'll join the other shoulders. And then hem the neckline by putting this thin fabric on the good side, stitching on top, flipping that around and stitching over that again. Then I just have to install the sleeves. Sew the sides closed as well as the insides of the legs. Usually I would also add a Velcro closure, but this time I just sewed her into it to make sure that the suit lays as flat as possible. I did also quickly paint her hands to match the sleeves. Now it's time for the face, which I like to start by filling in the lashes. Since they're 3D, I also have to paint the back, and there's some awkward angles, so I like to make sure that I can go back in with my X-Acto knife and clean it up without scratching off anything else. Once that is done, I just sketch in all the basic features with pencils and pastels. I also add some micro glitter all over the face after every layer. Then I fill in everything with a couple layers of acrylics. These lower lashes are always a bit scary to do because they're so thin. Then I just continue adding shadows and highlights and going over the sketch details with acrylics. And I finish the face with these round highlights in the eyes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I just gloss the lips, as well as the eyes, but with a much more watered down coat. I'm really happy with how this looks. I think the neutral expression really works for the face. Then I start off the wig by painting this 3D printed wig cap. And just gluing this hair, which is a straight and jumbo braid, all around the head. I also curled the hair in the back of her head to give her that little swoop she has. As you can see, this is quite messy right now, so what I like to do is go over it with a bit of acetone to sort of wipe up this grimy glue residue. Then I just keep gluing wefts and hacking them short. I also use my mini curling iron to heat the partings into shape. And that was the wig pretty much done. At which point I tried on the hat to see how it would fit over it. It didn't. I tried removing some of the wefts to give it more space, but it was just not happening. So I ended up just gluing 2 pieces of hair directly into the hat and called it a day. And with that, we are done. I think this one came out really nicely. I especially appreciate all the metallic parts. only thing that bothers me about her is that the bodysuit really limits her posability, since this is not the type of fabric that can stretch endlessly. But yeah, what can you do? I think overall, this might actually be my favorite one out of all the ones I've done. Thank you to everyone who watched this till the end. I'd really appreciate if you like this video and subscribe to the channel. I've got quite a few projects planned out and would love for you to join me on that. And that's all.